Okay, so this is the game room in my college. There is the Nintendo Switch 2, there's Mario Kart World, and there's Donkey Kong Bonanza. At the time of this recording, I am going to be playing on Bonanza, but I have played Mario Kart World. Just wanted to show you as proof, I am playing this for free. I'm not going to tell you which college, but to my friends who know, you know.
Yep, that's right. I was able to play the Nintendo Switch 2 for free in my college's game room. And I did mention that I played Mario Kart World before. Now, that video was basically like the second day of me playing on the console, which was Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I will get to that game pretty soon. And yeah, because it's not my Switch, I will not be able to actually try to 100% everything in terms of the games, but those two are technically the only games so far they have for now, and I think it might stay like that because budget stuff, honestly. Colleges don't get enough money these days. I wonder why. Either way, so yeah, for the first day of Mario Kart World, it was 4 hours, and by the time of that recording, I did play another 4 hours, so that's technically 8 hours on that one single day. I played Donkey Kong for another 4 hours, but I digress. We're talking about Mario Kart World, so let's talk about it. And FYI, I have not played the online portion of Mario Kart World because on that Switch specifically that has the new games, I can only be able to play offline because you don't have the online membership. It's on the other second Nintendo Switch 2 that does not have new games, so I will not be able to actually tell you how the online experience is, so you might have to look for somebody else for that. I'm talking about the offline experience, and yeah. So here we go. First up was talk about the open world. About the open world, a lot of the negative criticisms I found from other people, and I can definitely see why they're reasoning for it, but it's not that bad. If I'm gonna be pretty honest, the P-switches, they're fun, but the rewards are not that great. Stickers is like a decal you can use for online, and I don't think anybody will be using those stickers because nobody will have time to see those stickers, honestly. That's kind of about it for open world. It is a bit empty. Kind of wish there's a bit more happening around the world, but I guess it might be a bit too hard. But I mean, I don't know. It just kind of feels incomplete in a way. I'm hoping that they will add some more stuff into it, but for the most part, open world seems to be more of a labbing or in practice mode for Mario Kart World and not an actual open world type of exploration for story mode or whatever. I do hope that one day maybe this game might have some DLC, but at the same time, kind of hope not, because for people who actually pay $80 for the game, this $80 is not worth it, honestly. But I do hope that they would fix some problems that I do have about it. But for the most part, some of the problems I do have is just a much nerfed variation of what other people say, because it's not exactly that bad. Now let's go back to Grand Prix, and yeah, Grand Prix has 4 tracks, as you all know. You choose from 3 different speeds, not 4, and yeah, that's kind of about it. First race is always 3 laps. The second race is the straight line in 1 lap, and the third race is the same. And then the fourth race, sometimes the fourth race has multiple laps, but maybe multiple laps on a straight line sometimes, or just a straight line, and well, then you have 1 or 2 to 3 laps around the track. It's kind of iffy because I don't exactly remember, because all I saw before after doing the first track was just kind of straight line thing, right? The intermissions between all tracks, and then it's just 1 lap. They're all kind of mushed together, which is kind of upsetting for me. It's not bad per se. I do think that is enjoyable to a point, but there are some race courses where I really want to actually race through the course again, for 1 more lap, because going for a straight line and racing it once is you don't really have time to actually get everything in. And now let's talk about the speed. 200cc, yeah, a lot of people complain about it, but we should talk about the actual CCs in the game already. 50cc, 100cc, and 150. I play on 150cc because that's the standard for Mario Kart for most people. But if I'm gonna be really honest, like right now, Mario Kart 8, right? 150cc on that game is much more faster than 100cc in this game. And just saying, like, Mario Kart World's 150cc has about the same feel and speed of Mario Kart 8's 50cc. So like 100cc's off in a way. So it's technically like 50, no, not 50, like 100% slower or 75%. I don't know what the percentage of it is, but it feels pretty slow. Again, it could be the builds, maybe, because apparently from Shortcut, the speed meter is basically the average speed of 3 different terrains, and that is really bad. And I thought not showing the mini turbo was actually a bad thing. Now they're just kind of doing this, so like each kart's not exactly the same, and it's like, yeah. But I'm not talking about even for the meta. I'm just talking about the speed in general, because like going through different karts as much as I can unlock, and I'm just playing as like the penguin for the most part. Yeah, the karts just feels very slow, even if the acceleration is like super high. The only thing I can feel is about the handling. Nothing much else in terms of speed, in terms of difference in karts. But it does feel very slow, especially if you're going through the intermission courses. The intermissions are just a slog to get through because 150cc feels like 50cc when you go through straight lines. I don't know why. Maybe it's the terrain thing, but at the same time, it's just, I don't know. It doesn't feel fast enough. Now, that's one thing I don't hear people talk about, and it's just the natural speed of the game that is much more slower. Like even going through 150cc on like the normal tracks, like normal courses, like in the very beginning and possibly at the very end, it does feel a bit faster, but it's at the same speed of 100cc. That's how I feel. I think maybe the tracks, intermissions are much more longer, so they have like the same amount of distance as like the normal tracks, and that's how I feel. That's my theory on it, at least, because the speed of the long tracks is kind of slow, but maybe because it's a straight line, and it might be some sort of like placebo effect, you know? It could just be me, but that's how I felt, and it didn't feel really good. Now let's talk about Knockout Tour. Yeah, Knockout Tour, you hear a lot of people say it's good. It's the best mode of the entire game. But the gripe about it is that bagging is the best strategy, and it's just sad to just know that that's a thing. I mean, I try to play normally, and like I can get like at least top 4 at the very least consistently, but never first. And it's like you might have to get lucky in items, and that's kind of about it. It does get harder and harder, which makes sense in terms of like how it's layered and structured for, you know, Knockout Tour. I actually do like the premise of it. I think it's just the speed of the game as well, but it does seem like the speed, for some reason, is faster in Knockout Tour rather than, you know, in Grand Prix. Maybe it's the rubber banding because of so many players on the field, but like, I don't know. Again, it could just be me, and I only been playing for like 8 hours of this game, so maybe playing a bit more gets me a bit more comfortable. But there's a certain other problem that I have. Let's talk about the actual controls. So the controls of the game is alright. It's not as responsive. Surprisingly, it's not as responsive as Mario Kart 8. And if you guys saw in the video, I don't know if it's there or not, like the recording I did, or just show you guys I am on the Switch too. There is Mario Kart 8 on there. I did go back and play on that, and the controls on Mario Kart 8 is much more responsive than World, which is surprising to say the least. The drifting is fine. It's about the same, but then you have the jumping and the tricks. technically you can just do trick combos, which is good, but it's kind of irresponsive in a way that sometimes you have to flick the controls, and then sometimes you actually have to jump off ramps basically to just do the tricks and get a boost off. That's fine, but it's just kind of weird. Not to mention that if we're going through like the air gliding sections, they're fine, but I remembered seeing that you technically have boost chain in the air, but no, just doing tricks in the air does not do jack shit. But getting a good turn on in the air or just stay up in the air much longer. I usually just use the tricks to just stay in the air for longer or just dodge towards like a boost ring, and that's kind of about it. But I don't see any point of actually tricking in the air since it doesn't combo to anything. You can technically trick off the water, and to be honest, the water handling is much more better than the ground handling for some reason. So like on normal parts, the like handling on that is just kind of weird. Sometimes you turn all the way, but it's like, sometimes it won't turn like as much as you thought it would. Even drifting, sometimes the drift would actually like appear at least a few seconds late from when you press the drift button compared to Mario Kart 8, which is kind of weird. At least to me, I can feel the difference. But yeah, that's kind of about it. The items are fine and everything else is fine. I do think that the controls are just a bit more clunky, or maybe not too clunky, but more stiff than like in Mario Kart 8. I guess that's just because they have in mind with the open world, and since all the tracks are wider and bigger, so like you have more time to just dodge like other players or just have a better time, right? Just get your bearings. So like the race courses are not too narrow, except for that one track, like that mountain track where like the roads are just so narrow that even a bullet bill, which doesn't actually make you instantly like stop, just pushes you off the edge. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of all that I have. And again, if you notice about like I'm just like having some stutters or interruptions here, I'm not reading it off a script. I'm actually just going off script. I'm just saying what I have in my mind. Then I would just want to give you my honest like opinions, unfiltered, basically. And yeah, overall, I do think that the game is decent. It's not a very good Mario Kart game, and I do think 8 is better in terms of its structure and course layouts, basically, because knowing that the intermissions are just mostly just straight lines is fine for what it is. There are some hard turns here and there, but like it's whatever. But the way Knockout Tour works makes it everything blend in together to make one long course, which in Mario Kart 8 and some before, we do have some straight line courses from here there, technically speaking, or a course that's technically one lap but it's long enough. Knockout Tour feels like one of those types of tracks where there's multiple tracks and multiple laps on a single track, but you don't loop around, it just counts as one. So Knockout Tour actually does a good job there. Grand Prix kind of fails if we're trying to do something like that, but intermissions on like Grand Prix do actually ruin the two courses in the middle of the Grand Prix because you only race it once, and while it looks good and spectacular, you might get confused with the intermission straight line tracks, which are completely different if you're going to be playing like the actually basic 3 lap courses. So like, yeah, I do think it's good. If just for like the 8 hours I play, this game is definitely not worth $80, but for the most part, a lot of people would actually already pay like $50 for the game. I think $50 is like underselling the game in a way, but it does feel right. At best, I do think that the game should have been cost $70 at the very least. $80 is a bit too much. I think $70 is a fair price, but in my honest opinion, I think people should actually be paying this game for like $60 because just the way how the speed is much more slower, and the thing is that the open world is fun, but doing the challenges is not too rewarding, even though doing the challenges itself is fun. The rewards after it is not that much good. And I think the online having to play with friends is actually pretty good, but I don't know if like the online base is actually that healthy or not anymore. And I get the feeling that it might be not. But considering that the problems with what I had is basically the handling, the responsiveness of the gameplay, and the speed selectable is just not that great. Because 150cc in Mario Kart World, again, it is much more slower than 150cc in Mario Kart 8. I could be wrong, but the feeling of it, the possible placebo effect is just there. It just doesn't feel right. Yeah. What I do like about the game is basically its visuals and the design of each track, how limited it is basically, especially with just 8 hours. And a little detail, everybody dancing is actually pretty nice. I guess technically I can give it a point because luckily the game gave me a swimsuit Daisy for like, you know, the first 5 minutes of the game. So like that's pretty good. Either way, yeah. Overall, but just again the 8 hours I play, I think a good like solid. This game is like a solid 7 out of 10. A lot of things could be improved. But if I'm going to be honest, if I did play the online portion, I feel like, for what I heard, for people talking about the online portion of the game, this rating of 7 out of 10 is like pretty low. Like maybe 5 out of 10 if the things I'm hearing are correct. Am I going to buy Switch 2 myself to just play this game? Most likely not. Because the Switch 2 console itself is overpriced. I will actually, but there's a lot of people who actually talk about it. I don't think you guys want to hear me talk about it, but like because of its overpricedness, it's just ridiculous for a game that's technically PS4 Pro power, but it has a pricing of a PS5 is something. Either way, I think that's it for Mario Kart World. The next video I will be putting out is Donkey Kong Bonanza, and here's a little hint for you in that video. And I'm gonna be maybe gushing a bit for that one because I really do like the game. It's equivalent to just 4 hours, but I did play, by the time this recording, an extra like 8 hours. So like you can technically tell which game I actually have more fun with, just that statement alone. But yeah, I'll give it its own review video, but it's not going to be the complete version, and I don't think I'll be able to 100% it or just complete the game because of schoolwork and stuff. But yeah, my name is Paul. I'll see you guys next time for the Donkey Kong Bonanza mini review, I guess would you call it? Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that's my thoughts and feelings for Mario Kart World. It's a good game, but it's not $80 great.